I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zinner. Here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
Lake Superior College announced this week it is expanding its campus to downtown Duluth, looking to train workers for manufacturing jobs in the region. We'll talk with the college's president about the expansion and job growth.
An age wave is rolling across the region and it's putting stress on caregivers. A forum next week at UWS will put the focus on this growing financial and emotional issue.
And we'll have the week's business headlines and a news file story from 25 years ago.
It's all coming up next on Almanac North. To Almanac North, thanks for watching. This week's program was recorded on Wednesday afternoon. And Julie, we have some good topics this week, so let's introduce our first guests.
All right, thank you, Denny, and welcome everyone. An increase in demand for manufacturing jobs in the region has spurred an expansion at a local college. Lake Superior College announced plans this week to open a campus in downtown Duluth in the former Advanced Star building. Training programs for machining tools, welding, and computer-aided design, along with the rapid prototyping lab, will be included on site. The college also recently announced it is working with AAR Aircraft to provide training for mechanics needed at the Duluth Air Maintenance Facility. Well, joining us now with more is Dr. Patrick Johns, the president of Lake Superior College, and Brian Hanson is the president and CEO of APEX, the Area Partnership for Economic Expansion. And thanks to both of you for coming in. We're recording early and it is a lovely afternoon, so we really appreciate it. Dr. Johns, a pretty big move for Lake Superior College opening a new campus location. Is this something that has been in the works for a while now?
Well, it has been for a while. Actually, a couple years ago, we played around with the possibility of some kind of downtown or central hillside location for some programming. But it really was looking around the community for a location that would satisfy requirements for our integrated manufacturing program. We want to try to meet and better meet the industry needs, and those programs need to grow to do that, and we just don't have the space on our campus.
Brian, what are the industry needs?
Well, you know, the industry needs are really varied, Denny, based on who you're talking with. We know the folks at AAR and their needs for aircraft maintenance techs, or A&P, airframe and power plant mechanics. But it goes way beyond that. It reaches into the local manufacturing base with all kinds of different heavy fabrication, but also even things that require CNC at a shop like Lal Epicurean, where they're working with wood and wood-related products and plastics. They have similar needs.
Dr. Johns, you talked about integrated manufacturing. What would be included within that program?
We have three programs that are integrated. It's machine tool program, our welding program, and our computer-aided design program.
And are you seeing a big demand from industry in the area to try to get education behind what they're trying to do with their workforce?
We do, particularly in manufacturing. We're having some of our students who leave the program before they actually graduate because of the demand, and North Dakota is also drawing people away from our area in that industry as well.
And Brian, even though we have downturns in the economy up here in this part of the state, and we certainly do, apparently industry must feel that there is indeed still a good workforce up here and a need because the economy is improving and probably will always ride out these ups and downs.
You know, I think it's a combination of factors, and that's certainly one of them. That we're very optimistic about the outlook here in our region, and our manufacturers are growing. At the same time, we have a bit of a baby boom transfer here, where folks are deciding to take that retirement, and it's opening up positions for that next wave of employees. So that's another factor that really builds into it.
So, Doctor, are we seeing more young people staying here? They want to stay here if the jobs are available?
I think they definitely want to stay here. Too many people in earlier years went away for jobs
They did.
and didn't come back to Duluth. And I think we know what results when that happens. And so our goal is to try to train locally, work with local business, and keep our people here in town.
Brian, when you're working with businesses outside the area, trying to encourage them to come here, is the fact that our local higher educational institutions are willing to work with industry, customize training, or expand their programs based on those needs, is that a real selling point for you?
You know, that is a key. Not only the fact that we do have the trained individuals that are already here, but also that we have the infrastructure to train and to customize that training. And the state of Minnesota has been a great partner in that as well, with programs like Job Skills Partnership, that we can talk about how that really adds value working with a Lake Superior College directly with the company.
Yeah. Doctor, what still needs to be done to get the new campus up and running, and how long will that take?
Well, our goal is to start classes in our next semester, so January.
I see.
But we have some remodeling. There are some walls that need to come out, some spaces accommodating our welding, for example, and running the electrical and the HVAC systems and so forth. So that is on target to be done and move all of our equipment from the Trinity Road campus downtown.
No issues with accreditation or anything? That's all taken care of?
No, we still have to get approval to offer those programs at a remote site, and that we hope will get done in the next couple months.
That should not be a long process.
It should not be.
Let's talk a little bit about the Fab Lab with the rapid prototyping that's going to be included in the facility too. Are there a lot of businesses approaching you, looking for this kind of resources to help bring things to market or to get some things done?
There are people and businesses who want us to do that. We have a limited capability now, just primarily due to space, but 3D printing or three-dimensional printing is very popular right now, where for very low cost you can develop and design and build a prototype, not out of the pure metals that it might end up in, but at least with a plastic that's less expensive. It's done very quickly, and if you make a mistake, you start over again. So very flexible, and we hope that entrepreneurs in the area, various industries that want to come in and try to redesign, and by them coming in and on our campus, it gives our students some practical experience and a little industry exposure as well.
When you decided to go to another campus site, who came to you? Did industry come to you? Did students come to you asking for training in various fields? How did that transpire?
Well, industry has been knocking on our door for a long time to try to produce more graduates in the program. And with our space limitations, we can only put so many students through the program at one time, both in our machine tool as well as our welding area particularly. They're very limited on our current campus. So we know that if we want to grow those programs, we have to go off campus someplace. And this particular facility seemed to meet our faculty specifications, and that's where we ended up.
So will you be moving those programs entirely off of your existing campus to downtown, or will it kind of be a split program?
Right now, those programs will move entirely. So students will be on that site for most of their programming. We'll offer some general education courses that they may need to take, but other things they may need to go to the other campus for.
What size student body are you anticipating in the new campus?
Well, we're anticipating around 100 students that we can
Really?
serve in this new facility, where now it's between 40 and 50.
Brian, from an economic development standpoint, how well is the region doing in terms of kind of aligning its resources, you know, with higher education and industry and economic developers? Are you all kind of on the same page and working in the same direction these days, or is there still a lot of work to be done?
There's always room for improvement. I do think that we're at a really unique time right now where we have, we're really united as a region. United certainly here within the Twin Ports with our friends up on the Iron Range, and also amongst the different organizations that work together. Pat and I are part of a group called the Arrowhead Growth Alliance that'll be meeting on Friday to talk about economic development issues. Apex, our membership is the business community along with the educational community. So Pat's a member, and over 60 business members. So we, I think we're at a unique time where we've really learned how to work together and learned the benefit of working together.
It sounds like there will be job market demands. The kids aren't, or the students aren't going to just come there, get trained, and then not have employment opportunities. There are demands from the market?
I think that your placement experience is going to be extremely good. It's going to work very well.
Now, Denny mentioned kids, and that brings to mind younger students, younger adults. But what about the market for retraining? You know, in this economy, do you have a lot of people who are coming to your institution looking to retrain, start new careers?
Absolutely, and many of what we refer to as non-traditional students who do come back, that's exactly what they need. They don't need a full degree again or in another area. They need some refresher. We also have a customized training or continuing education for people already in the industry. And as Brian mentioned, we received a Minnesota Job Skills Partnership grant in cooperation or partnership with Cirrus to help fill that gap and begin to train people who they don't need the whole package, they just need parts of it.
Talk about your partnership with the aviation sector specifically.
Well, aviation, as most people know in this, Duluth particular in the region, is really growing and growing seriously. It's not that will it happen, it is when is it really going to get there, and it's there now and it's growing faster. And so we work very closely with, now we've been talking a lot with AAR as well as we have with Cirrus for a long time, and Kestrel across the bridge, and also companies like North Star Aerospace and others that are in the aviation industry. They all are looking for some form of manufacturing skills, welding skills, machine tool skills, and others. So, you know, we're looking to work and align what our academic programming is to meet what their needs are.
Do you see that attitudes are changing? Where for a while everyone was really focused on, you know, you have to get a 4-year degree, but is that reversing a little bit where people are seeing the value in the 2-year technical degrees?
I'm always an advocate for getting as advanced in education as you can get, but absolutely I think the job market has really shifted. Many people would say that maybe if you needed only a high school diploma years ago, now you need a 2-year degree, and if you had a 2-year degree, now you need a 4-year. So I think it is advancing. A CNC operator is very different than the old traditional machine tool operator. They may produce something similar, but how you get there is very different now with the technology.
We've always heard in this particular area there's a wonderful workforce out there. And are you still seeing that true today? Maybe Brian, you could expand on that a little bit?
You know, I think that's absolutely the experience that our manufacturers have, and really even our folks in other industries like tech. We have a very highly productive workforce. We have a very low turnover workforce as well. When people get a good job in this area, they're loyal to it. And that's a good thing because it makes you even more productive and better at your job.
And certainly an attractive place to live, you know.
That's absolutely true.
Dr. Johns, what's the next step?
Well, hopefully the remodeling down there on 2nd Street will go smoothly and we'll get moved in. Our students are looking at an advantage to them also is the transportation. It has more public access there, and so we keep moving along. The lease has been signed because it is a lease agreement, and now the hard work of getting everything ready by January is well on its way.
A great story to tell.
Thank you. Exciting
Good.
news.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
Governor Rudy Perpich spent time with some very young Minnesotans today as he took the state capital to northern Minnesota. He talked with Grand Rapids teachers about educational programs in the Northland. But the main thrust of the day-long visit was to honor the city's development of the wood products industry.
Forest products has become Minnesota's second largest manufacturing industry. There are over 1,750 industries that manufacture wood products in this state, and they employ more than 54,000 people for a total payroll of about $1.5 billion.
The governor says in order to stay competitive, the wood products industry must become more aggressive and more sophisticated. To help that process along, the governor today proposed the development of a paper research institute.
I think Grand Rapids would be a natural for that institute. It's right in the heart of the wood products industry in Minnesota. It has Blandin Foundation here. It has the best programs probably in the country in the high schools and in the college in forestry.
A committee will be appointed by the governor within the month to study the plan and eventually make a proposal to the 1989 legislature. In Grand Rapids, Lisa Molosky, KDLH News.
Doing a fantastic job here in the cooperative.
Statistics show the population in Minnesota and Wisconsin is skewing older. In the Gopher State, it's estimated by the year 2020, there will be more seniors over the age of 65 than kids in grades K through 12. In Wisconsin, the 65-plus crowd will grow faster than every other age group in the next quarter century. Experts say that 80% of seniors over age 65 will need some kind of care or service as they age. And that means more stress on caregivers, both professional and family members. A caregiver forum at UWS next week will focus on that very issue. Joining us is Esther Geischen, the former forum organizer and the program manager at UWS Continuing Education. And Cindy Conkins is a senior planner at ARDC's Arrowhead Agency on Aging. Thanks to both of you for being here. And Esther, are we ready now for this aging wave that's about to wash over us?
I don't think we're ready.
We're not ready.
But the age wave is coming anyhow.
Yeah, you're not going to hold it back. What is the forum all about?
Well, the forum came about because of hearing from so many people, even on our campus, who were talking about the responsibilities that they were facing in caring for their own parents and their grandparents, and juggling taking care of their parents and raising their kids and doing their jobs and so forth. And we have a lot of people who live in Minnesota, work in Wisconsin, and of course there's a lot of people that do the opposite. And so what we wanted to do is put together a forum that would have people from both sides of the bridge who could answer people's questions and get them connected to the resources that could help them in their state or in the state that their family member lives in.
Cindy, is our region unusual in terms of the demographic shift that we're seeing, or are there unique challenges that our region faces?
You know, because a significant proportion of our region is rural, as a point in fact, the rural areas are actually experiencing the age wave at an earlier stage than urban areas would be. So for example, while the predictions are for 2030 that the state population over the age of 65 would be about 26%, and again that's in 2030 for the entire state. There are counties like Aiken County and Cook County that are already at the 30% or the 32% right now in this year. So they are experiencing the leading edge of the age wave.
And in Wisconsin, if you look at the graphs and so forth, you will see that the counties adjacent to Douglas County have a more extreme 65 plus, because of course Douglas County is influenced by students at UWS and so forth.
Many families opt to do the caregiving. Can either one of you talk to us a little bit about the wear and tear that's not uncommon in families who are giving care to perhaps an elderly parent?
Cindy, you want to talk about that?
Sure. Research would tell us that about 1 in 4 households in our area would be providing care to somebody over the age of 50. And the stresses that go along with that responsibility can vary significantly, but it certainly includes caregivers who, particularly for frail elder caregivers, who neglect their own health, so they're not getting the health care that they may need. Certainly, as well, there's increased rates of substance abuse, alcoholism, very clearly indications in research that they experience higher rates of depression. So those would be
Are
some
we
examples.
Are we seeing more families now deciding to care for elderly parents than perhaps we did a while back, where maybe more were in nursing homes or other kinds of care centers?
You know, the research that I've seen would not indicate that. Families have always done the yeoman's work of caregiving, hovering around the 90% of the care that elderly receive would come from family, neighbors, or friends. And that statistic seems to be staying right in about that range, if not even slightly dropping off 1% or 2%.
Now, I understand that both of you have personal stories related to caring for aging parents. How does that kind of shape your approach professionally when you're trying to address these issues within our region and community?
I think, at least from my standpoint, having had my own personal experience in trying to find resources so that I could get to work on time and juggle those kinds of work things makes me really aware of what other people are juggling. And I think that part of raising kids and keeping a job and doing the caregiving at the same time. And with Cindy, she was a distance caregiver.
Right. My mother's 94, lives about 4.5 hours away. I am not her primary caregiver, but I am a substitute caregiver, so I am giving respite. I drive there and when I can, and which involves taking some time off from work and providing respite to my sister, who is her primary caregiver. But I would say the personal experience certainly helps me understand the value of the kinds of programs that we're trying to fund and develop in our region at the Area Agency on Aging, such as respite programs. There may be volunteers in communities who will offer companionship to an elder while a caregiver takes a break. We also have recently funded in nonprofit organizations across northeastern Minnesota positions that we call caregiver consultants. And these are folks who are available to guide and advise. This could be an older adult child or a spouse. People just don't know where to start. They don't even know what questions to ask. They don't know how to assess their elder loved one's situation or match up resources to them.
And that's real. One of those caregiver consultants is one of the members of the panel, and also will be speaking, doing kind of a caregiving 101 will be her presentation.
Cindy just mentioned caregivers take a break. Is it important once in a while that caregivers do step back for a little while, have someone else take over?
Yes.
And you can address that a little bit.
And that's one of the, I guess, primary parts in the burnout is not being able to get away. If you're doing 24/7 caregiving, pretty soon the stress starts to take a toll on you. And so one of the things that the caregiver consultants all do is really encourage people to use whatever respite they can arrange, whether it's from family members or whether it's from a senior companion program or a day program or something, because they have to take care of themselves if they're going to keep taking care of their loved one.
One of the other issues, though, we find is that as we use the term caregiver or caregiver support programs, caregivers tend not to label themselves as that. They're not even familiar with the term. So it's part of the hurdle, is to get people to recognize that what they are doing is caregiving, whether it's getting groceries for mom or taking the uncle to church, or you're starting down the path of a caregiving role. And please recognize that there are support services out there for you.
Are we seeing more older people staying or wishing to be back into the job market? Can you address that a little bit?
This is the elder population?
Yes.
Well, certainly, I think with the age wave, what we're seeing is people are kind of redefining the whole retirement concept. And whether their 401ks are not what they thought they were, just wanting to prolong that period before they leave work. And some people leave work for a while and then re-enter.
Which is part of the financial burden of being a family caregiver. And estimates from AARP are that the average family caregiver spends about $5,500 of their money a year towards the caregiving, which can, for a middle income person can
Sure.
have quite an impact on that, and them needing to take time off of work and all of those things.
Very, very quickly, we're just about out of time, but you mentioned that caregivers don't always recognize themselves. So make the appeal. Who should be coming to this
This forum.
Anybody who has an older parent, because I think Rosalind Carter, right? There's only 4 people, those who are caregivers, those who will be caregivers, those who have been caregivers, and those who will need somebody to take care of them. And so anybody who wants to be prepared, and one of the things we want
Sure.
people to do is plan ahead and be proactive. Get things lined up now before there's a crisis.
Okay, wonderful. Esther, Cindy, thank you so very much.
You're very
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you being here.
Thank you.
Well, it's time for a look at the week's top business stories from Business North. A new senior citizen housing development proposed in Superior has received approval for tax credits valued at more than $400,000 from the state of Wisconsin. A La Crosse-based corporation will develop Grand Central Plaza on Weeks Avenue at a cost of about $5.5 million. Its 50 units will be located near UWS, several churches, the public library, and downtown business district. Mayor Bruce Hagan said it will help alleviate a long waiting list of persons waiting to occupy affordable housing.
WP&RS Mars Company has acquired the assets of Walter Hammond Company of Minneapolis. Mars is a regional distributor of abrasives and hand and power tools used in local industries. It has offices in Duluth, Hibbing, and the Twin Cities, and a conveyor belt service subsidiary in Virginia. The Hammond Company was a full-service distributor of cutting tools and accessories.
Telemark Lodge and Resort and Cable was sold to a Colorado firm Tuesday at a sheriff's foreclosure auction. The property sold for $926,000 to Newco LLC. While it's unclear what Newco will do with the 1,000-acre resort, local officials are optimistic. Cable Chamber of Commerce Director Jim Bolin said meetings have been scheduled with the new owners. The lodge has been closed since March, but Bolin said an announcement may soon address reopening the facility in time for the February Birkebeiner ski race. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
If you have a comment about our show, now's the time to call. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send an email to almanacnorth@wdsc.org. And you can visit the WDSC website for the latest news and information about the station, updates on programming, and a whole lot more. Julie, it looks like the fall colors are just about behind us after a week of rain and wind.
Yeah, it's kind of turned into what my husband calls deer woods.
Oh, there you go. Late fall, huh? Or middle fall, I guess.
Woods.
All right. For Julie and the crew here at Almanac North, I'm Dennis Anderson. Have a great weekend, everybody, and be kind.